Well, hi, and welcome to another session of the beginning class. Let's get started with the bear. So, feet comfortable distance apart, shoulder width, toes in a line, turning easily, gently from side to side. Breathing, relaxing, feeling like you've just been lowered to the ground from the rear crown of your head. You've got space inside your body, and your feet are connected to the ground through the bubbling wells and the tripod on each foot. Breathing, relaxing, letting the body turn from below, from your hips, dantian, waist area, and letting the shoulders and the gaze just follow that movement. Lee talked about using your hip joints so that one is engaging, the other is releasing. So let that become part of what you're looking for. Just keep searching. If it doesn't come right away, don't give up. Just see what you can make of it. And little by little, things will start to change. Feeling your feet on the ground. Notice if your feet want to roll at all. If they want to roll, maybe you're turning further than you should. We want to stay comfortable and keep our movements easy. You're not going to the furthest extreme of what you can do. You're trying to stay in a range where you can keep moving easily. So we'll do some form now. You've learned up to shouldering, and we'll do the form a few times. Lee and I will both face away from the camera because if you were in the class with us, that's what you would see. You'd be standing behind us. So play along, and let's do some Tai Chi. So begin. I'm not going to say very much this time through so that you can just practice along with us. And hold it here a moment. And rest your legs. Let's do it again. This time I'll just remind you of the names of the postures as we go into them. So this is the preparation. And begin. And the opening move. Ward off left. Ward off right. Roll back. Press. Push. Single whip. Lifting hands. And shoulder strike. Great. Rest your legs. Let's do another form, and this time I'm going to talk you through the feet, where the weight is, which part of the foot is touching the ground, and that sort of thing. So this one might go a little slower to get all those words in. So start here, you're 50-50 in both feet equally. 100% into your right foot. Left foot steps to the left. Shift 100% on your left leg. Turn in on the heel of your empty right foot. Shift 50-50. Hundred percent in your left leg, pivoting on the right heel. 100% on the right leg, pivoting on the left toe and ball. Heel first, 70% in your left leg, 30% in the right. 100% in your left, pivoting on the ball of the right. Step, heel first without weight, and then 70% in the right. Left foot pivots on heel. A little more weight into the right, 100% in the left. Both feet are flat on the ground. %70 in the right. 100% in the left. And 70% in the right. 100% left, pivoting on the heel of the right foot. 100% in the right. pivoting on the ball of the left. Heel first without shifting the weight, then begin to shift. 70% in the left. 100% in the left, pivoting on the ball of the right. Still 100%, resting on the heel of your empty right foot. 100% on the left. And 70% in the right. Rest your legs. So it's kind of nice to be able to do the form a few times. Now you've got a lot of moves, and we'll give you another one today. And repeating it lets you focus differently as you go through the movements. So I want to talk about the principles a little bit, and then we can do some more of the form. So we have 5 basic principles that we want to embody whenever we're doing Tai Chi. In this order: relax, separate empty and full. That's what we were just doing, that last one. Turn the waist. So your waist is back here. It encompasses the dantian, your hips, this whole region. Turn the waist, not the upper body and shoulders. Number 4 is keeping the body upright. So when I go to step, I don't want to lean. When I come forward, I don't want to lean. When I sit back, I don't want to lean. I want to keep myself pretty much central and make sure that when I shift, I bring all of me with me. I'm not shifting forward and leaving part of myself behind, or shifting back and leaving part of myself in front. So body upright. And then the last one is what we call beautiful lady's wrist or hand. So these are one of our teachers, Ben Lo, Jungman Cheng's top student from Taiwan, who came to the US and worked with us for many years. He's the one who codified these 5 principles. So this last one, the beautiful lady's wrist, is just our particular style of the form. You will see other forms doing things like this. And I'm not saying that's wrong when the masters do it, but what happens is when we mortals do it, it cuts the energy off and we can't get out to our hands. So we want to keep the hands as open as possible. Kind of use your middle finger and let that follow the line of your hand. So you don't want the hand to go off in this dimension or get cocked and put tension across the wrist. Ben Lo would do this to show us the way. And just put a hand up against a wall. That's it. You got all your middle finger aligns with the arm bone, and there's a little bit of space between each finger, and importantly also, your thumb isn't hanging in like this. So when I do ward off, I want to be able to see all my fingers. I don't want to hitchhike. I don't want to send it in a different direction entirely, but I don't want to just let it collapse in and only have 4 fingers. So this is a bunch to think about and pay attention to. And you might be thinking, well, but wait, what about the opening move? We do all this stuff that bends the wrists. Yes. So we start by getting the wrists open, and then they're open, and we keep it in this beautiful relationship. So let's look at the hands in the opening move. So just as if we've done the opening part, we've moved our feet and we're just standing here. So you're going to bring your hands up. As your hands start coming up, your your fingers kind of lag a little bit. So the wrists have a bend here. And then it plays out into the fingers, and then you got another bend that straightens you out. So you come up, and they trail behind, and then it plays out to the fingers, and then it starts coming back toward the body, and they bend again. So then you've got a place like this. Our teacher Jane used to call this the begging dog place. So stand here at this point and just let your wrists be really, really loose and relaxed. If you tense them at all and you bobble, they stay rigid. If you relax them and you bobble, they bounce around. That's what we want. We want the begging dog place, the soft paws. So we've got one bend, two bends. Here's the third. And now what happens is that the elbows slide back and the hands rebalance and the base of the palm starts dropping, and that brings the fingers up. Here's your fourth bend. I'll go over this one again in a moment. And then you let it back down, and then you have 5 bends in the wrist to get you open and ready to do Tai Chi with your beautiful lady's hands. So, do this with me. 1 bend, 2 as you extend out to the fingers, 3 as the hands come across the invisible table, 4 as the elbows slide back and fingers point up, 5 as it comes back down. Now let's look at this place that happens right here. Take your other hand, put it right underneath in the crook of your wrist so that your hand is just hanging there. And now let your elbows slide back and keep your hand connected to your other hand so that the fingers kind of drip off the edge. That's the feeling we want. So I'm not lifting, it's not this. It's this. So really try this out. You could do it on either side. Let that moment be something that's driven from the rest of the arm going down, not from the fingers going up. And you can do it on the other side too, because it may feel different on the other side. And when you get here, you want to drop the elbow, let it slide back a little bit, and notice if you start lifting your fingers. Let your fingers really stick to your hand the whole way down. And then when you stop, at that point, that's how they got up there. Notice any desire to pull them up. Let them drip off the edge. Then they're going to just naturally find their way back to the 5th bend and back in the opening position. So let's just do that whole piece together once, and then we can move on. So, actually, let's just do the whole thing from your feet in a V, and into the right leg, step, shift, turn back to the front, come up to an unlocked knee position, and here's your first bend, and the second. There's the third, the fourth, and the 5th. So that's a little bit more information for you. You know, I know we introduced all this by saying the most important comes first. And the opening move can be a little, mysterious as to how that's got all of the Tai Chi practice in it. So little by little, we'll give you some clues as to what makes this a more complex movement than it may appear on first blush. I want to do another form. I'll probably do a couple more before I hand it over to Lee and he gives you something new. We always will review what we've gone over before we introduce something new. So just to understand our methodology. So the review section here. So let's do it again. And I want to remind you of these 5 principles. Relax, separate empty and full, turn the waist, body upright, beautiful lady's hand. In later years, Ben told us, I added a 6th one. You must do all 5 together. So it's not one thing and then another thing, but I don't want to give you pinball mind. I just want to put these ideas into your head. This is oral transmission. It's not written down anywhere. And you want to start thinking about them so that when you do the moves, you can bring that kind of awareness. And if you notice, like when we say all the weight's on one leg, if you do this to have all the weight on one leg, you say, oh wait, but my body isn't upright. I think I need to have it on one leg with my body upright. So that sort of awareness is what you want to bring to the moves when you practice them. And using the principles will help you keep track of what you're supposed to be, the shape, how to make the shapes that you're making. So let's do it again. Okay, right here at the start, breathe, relax, let go of any extra tension that you might have. Let yourself feel soft, upright, and connected to the ground. Begin. And we'll just flow through it. And your big chance to get the wrists open. And now you want to maintain that feeling in the wrist as you continue. And you can pause slightly at the final posture. Are you connected? Are you upright? Is there tension in your wrists? Let your hands be beautiful. Continue. Body stays upright as you step and shift. All the weight is sitting in your rear leg. One nice thing about beautiful lady's hand is you can generally see your hands. So you can tell if you're bending the wrist. Turning the waist, shifting the weight, and turning. And yes, your right hook hand does have a bend in the wrist. Our teacher, Baton, would call it like a ripe fruit. So that is not a violation of the beautiful lady's hand. Remembering to stay upright. And rest your legs. So that's an example of how you can use the principles that, when you need to get into one leg. Oh, right, separate the weight. I need all my weight to be resting on one leg. That sort of thing. When you step out, you don't want to step immediately committing to that leg. You step out, heel first, no weight, and then you can shift. And when you do it that way, you can stay upright, you have access to turning your waist, all that good stuff is available to you. I want to talk a little bit about striving versus staying comfortable. So we have this notion of, everybody knows about range of motion. Everybody wants to have greater range of motion. Well, we don't care so much about range of motion. What we care about is range of comfort. And so you can, be comfortable in a small space and have a great big range of motion that's full of tension. And we don't care about the range of motion that induces tension. We want to find the range of motion in which you can stay comfortable. That's really important in doing Tai Chi. How are you going to relax if you're at the extremes and striving so hard? You even hear it in my voice. So we want to stay comfortable. As you go through this, the desire to get it right, to have, really big, impressive stance and all that other kind of stuff is human nature. We all want to get it right and look perfect and, kick ass and all that stuff. But you want to do it within a space in which you're comfortable. So little by little, your range of comfort will increase. At some point, it will help you develop a wider range of motion in which you can stay comfortable. But I want to encourage you to stay comfortable first. And, rather than have this really big, extreme stance, let it be a little less. When you step out, it's not as far as you can go. A little less. Stay comfortable. That's part of this. These principles are there to teach you what will keep you comfortable. Your ability to relax, to stay in one leg and put the other leg out without committing to it right away. That helps you stay upright. It gives you a chance to use the center of the body to direct the motions, and the striving comes out of your hands. Even this isn't beautiful lady's hand. It's full of tension. We're told it should be as if you're wearing a thin glove. So that's the kind of spacing that you want between your fingers. So all these principles are descriptions of what will happen if you can stay relaxed. Or conversely, they're the recipe for what it means to relax in Tai Chi. So I want to do one more, first third, as far as you know, up to shouldering, and just I'll keep reminding you to stay comfortable. So right away, even the V that your feet are in, if it's too wide, it's going to feel uncomfortable right away. So, and the feet aren't parallel, so make sure that they're actually turned out. But there's a comfortable place that you can land in, so look for that. And begin. You step without putting weight in, and then you shift. Come up to an unlocked knee position. Locked knees are not comfortable. Go through the paces with your wrist so that the wrists are nice and open. And now you're going to keep this feeling in your hands. Staying comfortable. Doing your best to make the right shapes without getting out of your comfort zone. Arm swings in a natural shape, not reaching for something. Hands come forward because the whole body brings them forward, not because they're reaching out beyond your space. Turning only as far as you can turn your hips. So that the shoulders stay with your hips. That will keep you from twisting, and you will be more comfortable. Doing your best to have all the weight in one leg, your left leg. And sitting into the posture so you're comfortable, centered, balanced, relaxed. And rest your legs. So those are some ideas of ways that you can practice, what you could bring to your awareness as you practice. And now Lee'll give you some more.
Let's do some more. I want to review the last form sequence, brush knee, play guitar, brush knee, and then I'll teach you a new move. So, start with the left foot forward, the right hand is high, brush knee. Gather into the front foot, letting the rear foot come off the ground. Replace it, shift into the right foot, stretching the rubber band, release the rubber band, everything comes together, play guitar. Let your front foot down on the ground, turn the waist, arms swing, front hand drops, rear hand folds, front foot steps, shift, turn, brush knee. Again, gather into the front foot, replace the rear foot, shift, opening the arms, release, hands come together, foot steps. Front foot drops on the ground but stays empty. Turn the waist, arms swing, front hand drops, rear hand folds, front foot steps, shift, and turn. Brush knee. Once more. Gathering, expanding, stretching the rubber band, and release. Play guitar. Turn, arms swing, front hand drops, rear hand folds, front foot steps, shift, then turn, brush knee. Okay, let me do it facing once, just so you get a review on that. You should have been practicing this now for a couple weeks as you go through this, so it should start feeling pretty familiar. We will hook it onto the form in the next class. So this is your last shot at doing it just by itself before it's in the form. And this one has a bunch of complication because you're stepping, you're turning your foot, there's the big arm swings. So there's a lot going on in this one. That's part of why we teach it to you and then spend, several weeks before we hook it onto the form. So facing you, Beth will keep facing the way that you would be facing in the form. I'll face towards the camera so that you can see. So brush knee. In brush knee, make sure you got a good 70-30. Front foot's pointed straight ahead. Rear foot's at an angle, right? You always want this angled thing. The waist is square to the front. That means your front hip joint, your front quad is closed and creased. Your rear quad is flat and relaxed. Bring the push hand up. That's your right hand. It's in front of your shoulder. The elbow is dangling. The palm is out. It's just like if we were doing push, but just with one hand. The other hand is here by your thigh. Gather into the front foot. Let the rear foot come off the ground. Pick it up. Put it back down. Shift. Opening. This is the stretching the rubber band. Release the rubber band. Closing. That'll bring you back to the front. Play guitar. My right palm is faced towards my left elbow. Not below, not above, but right towards the left elbow. The two hands are coming in towards each other, so they're not exactly parallel. They're aimed in, but they don't cross. So they're aimed in towards each other. And all of my weight is in the back foot. Now turn your waist, let the arms swing. Make sure that you don't twist here, so don't turn farther than you can. Nose is still over belly button. Drop the front hand. As it drops, the rear hand starts to fold, and before either of them finishes, the front foot steps. At this point, I'm still my weight in the back. My waist is pointed towards the corner. So shift into the front. The waist is still in the corner, and then turn to the front, pivoting on the rear heel if you need to, back into brush knee. So this is just a loop that runs brush knee, play guitar, brush knee. Let's do it 3 more times facing this way, just so it's really at your fingertips, and then I'll show you the new move. Okay, brush knee. Gather into the front foot. Replace the rear. Shift, opening. Close, play guitar. Turn, arm swing. Front hand drops, rear hand folds, front foot steps. Shift, keep the waist in the corner, and then turn, finish the move, brush knee. Again, gathering. As you shift, feel like there's a rubber band between your hands, you're stretching, and then let that rubber band go. That brings you into play guitar. Turn, arm swing. Let the left hand drop, the right hand folds over, the left foot steps. Shift, and then turn. Once more. Gather into the front foot. Shift, stretching the rubber band, opening. Release, closing the rubber band, play guitar. And turn, arm swing. Front hand drops, rear hand folds, front foot steps. Shift, waist to the corner. Turn to the front, brush knee. Great, take a break. So you'll notice we often say the same things over and over. And Tai Chi Chuan, this art, is an art that was passed through oral teaching. So Beth talked about the 5 principles: relax, separate, empty, and fold, turn the waist, body upright, beautiful lady's hand. And that kind of teaching has been passed on orally. So there's some books, there's written down books, and we at some point we'll show some books and talk about them, because 21st century, and even better than books, 21st century, we've got the ability to record videos, which is actually closer to the oral teaching. So part of why we'll repeat these things over and over and package them up into things like the 5 principles, relax, separate, empty, and fold, turn the waist, body upright, beautiful lady's hand, is so that you have that as the little soundtrack while you're practicing. So I'll say the same things over and over here. Turn the waist, arms swing, front hand drops, rear hand folds, front foot steps. And so I'll say that same thing over and over so that when you're practicing on your own, you can hear the soundtrack. You can hear me saying or Beth saying those things, and then it'll help you remember what to do. Now, we didn't make this stuff up. What happened is when we learned, our teachers said the same things over and over. Oral tradition, oral teaching. And so when I open my mouth, what comes out of my mouth is the words that my teachers put in there. So, it's not me, Lee, saying all of these things, even though it is. It's not Beth saying the 5 principles. It's us transmitting what Ben Lo taught us. And Ben Lo transmitting what Professor Chung Man Ching taught him. And Chung Man Ching transmitting what his teacher Yang Cheng Fu taught him. And Yang Cheng Fu transmitting what his father Yang Jian Ho taught him. And Yang Jian Ho transmitting what his father Yang Lu Chan, who started Yang style, taught him. And so there's this chain of oral transmission, and you're in the chain now. So it's likely that somebody who is working through this beginning class at some point later in their lives, will become a Tai Chi teacher. And you'll see when that happens, you'll be saying the same things we are, because it's an oral transmission. So that's part of why we don't write down some of these things, because we really want you to learn them and memorize them, and then be able to apply them when you're practicing. So, we're often, Ben Lo would say, I like a tape recorder, always say same thing. And so, in one way that's like, yeah, you're always saying the same thing. Why don't you describe it different ways? The other side of it, though, is preserving that oral transmission. And so that's part of what we're doing with this. Make it easy for you to memorize. Let the repetition actually get into you, and go ahead and accept the soundtrack that is me reproducing what our teachers taught us, which is them reproducing what their teachers taught them, which is their teachers reproducing what their teachers taught them, and so forth. And so it's an oral transmission. Okay, so I'm going to teach you the next move, which is called White Crane Spreads Its Wings. And I'm going to start by teaching you a new animal frolic in the crane series. And the move and the form is almost identical to what we do in the animal frolic. And after we've taught people this stuff, we often include this crane in the animal frolics. So start out with your feet in a V. And we're going to do it on both sides. In the form, we only do it on one side, but I'm going to do it on both sides here. And take your left fingers and put it inside your right wrist. Beth is facing the same way as you, so you'll see her raising the same arm you ought to be raising. And the hand that's in your wrist is going to drop down to your side. The hand that's in your elbow is going to drop down to the side. The other hand is going to come up above your head. And the two of them do that together. So do that. Separate your hands. The hand that was in the wrist drops down. The right hand comes up. And do that again. Start with the left fingers inside the right elbow. The elbow hand is going to drop down. The bottom hand is going to come up. And once more. Left fingers inside of right elbow. Elbow hand's going to drop down. Bottom hand's going to come up. Elbow hand drops. Bottom hand comes up. Now take the top hand and bring it down into the other elbow. Now the elbow hand's going to go down. The bottom hand's going to come up. Take the top hand, bring it down into the elbow. Elbow hand goes down, bottom hand comes up. Top hand into the elbow. Elbow hand goes down, bottom hand comes up. Top hand into the elbow. Elbow hand goes down, bottom hand comes up. Top hand into the elbow. Elbow hand goes down, bottom hand comes up. Once more, top hand into the elbow. Elbow hand goes down, bottom hand comes up. And so like the other crane, where we're doing this, and there's a feeling of everything expanding, and then everything coming back together. And so we talk about synchronizing the body, breath, and mind as you're doing this. Same thing is happening here. So as I'm expanding, everything gets big, I feel all the space around me, and then I focus, everything comes back in. And then I expand, and focus, and expand, and focus. And you'll notice that I'm standing up and down a little bit as I do this. So do this with me again. Start in the V. Left hand into the right elbow. Bend your knees. As you drop the elbow hand and bring up your bottom hand, stand up, expanding. Top hand comes down into elbow, knees bending. Elbow hand drops, bottom hand comes up, standing up, expanding. Top hand comes into elbow, Focus your awareness in your dantian. As you stand up and change the hands, feel all the room around you. Top hand comes into elbow, knees bending. As you stand up, expand, spreading your wings, focusing it. Top hand into elbow. Standing up, elbow hand drops. Top hand into elbow, focusing, feeling the ground. Standing up, everything expanding. Once more on each side. Top hand into elbow, elbow hand drops, awareness, body expands. Great. So of course there's footwork to this too. And so I've given you just the hands. Now we're going to do the foot. And the thing that happens is the hand that's in the elbow, as it goes down, the foot on the same side steps out and touches on the ball with no weight. As the hands come back together, the foot comes back, and now the right hand is going to drop. As the right hand, which was in the elbow, drops, that leg steps out. As everything comes back in, the feet come together. So do this with me. Start with the left hand inside the right elbow. As you expand, left hand drops, left foot steps out. Top hand comes into elbow, foot comes back. Shift the weight, elbow hand drops, that foot steps out. Top hand comes into elbow. Bring the front foot back. Shift the weight, expanding. Top hand comes into elbow. Shift the weight. As the elbow hand drops, its foot steps out. Top hand comes into opposite elbow. Elbow hand drops, that foot steps out. Other hand comes up, awareness expands. Top hand comes into elbow. Elbow hand drops, that foot steps out, expanding. Focusing in your center, expanding. Focusing in your center, expanding. Once more on each side. So in the form, that move is called white crane spreads its wings. So there you are, spreading your wings. And so go ahead and let this feel birdie. You're not like trying to throw a frisbee out there. You're spreading your wings here. And as this move appears by itself as an exercise like we just did, it's called standing at the edge of the abyss. So it's like I'm here, the Grand Canyon's right in front of me, and I'm hanging my foot out over the Grand Canyon. And what that really emphasizes is you can't put any weight in the front foot. Because if I put weight in the front foot, oh no, there I go into the abyss. So as you're doing this, you're standing at the edge of the abyss, and your front foot is empty. You're standing at the edge of the abyss, and you don't commit into that front foot, because then you go over the edge of the Grand Canyon. So feel this, expanding, no weight in that front foot. In the form, we only do it on one side, but it's really nice to do it on both sides. This is one of my favorite animal frolics, is standing at the edge of the abyss. White crane spreads wings on both sides. So I thought I'd teach it to you that way first. Now let's look at what happens in the form. So I'll do it so you can see once, and then we'll do it together. So in the form, I've come from single whip, and lift hands, shouldering. Oh, and look at this. My left fingers are right here by my right elbow. So what I do is I put all my weight forward, and I turn my waist, and as I do that, I spread my wings. So look, I started out facing more or less towards my front foot, and as I do this, I'm going to come and face the other direction. It's not physiologically possible for 99.99% of the people in the world to have their foot pointed at the wall and get their waist all the way around at 90 degrees. Maybe people in Cirque du Soleil or something, Chinese opera, who've been doing this since they were 2, can do that, but I can't do it, and you probably can't do it either. So when you do this, when you come out of shouldering and you turn, I'm not going to get my waist all the way to the front, but I'm going to look to the front. So I feel like I'm here. When we do it as the animal frolic, I start with my feet in a V, and so then I can actually get square. But in the form, the foot will be at 90 degrees, and you won't quite get all there. So let's do it together. Let's take it from single whip, and we'll run through lifting hands, shouldering, and then we'll add white crane on. So start in single whip. All your weight into the left leg, open, hug the big tree, hug a smaller tree, feel out to your fingertips, drop the hands, bring the foot back. You've got a ball of air here on your left side. Step out, make sure your right foot's pointed right straight towards the wall. Shift into shouldering, left palm down, left fingers by right elbow. Put all your weight into your right foot, turn your waist to the left, spread your wings, replace your right foot on the ball, no weight. Paying attention to the wall even as your hips are slightly to the corner. Again, single whip. All the way forward, turn to the right, pivoting on the rear heel, hug a big tree, hug a smaller tree, feel out to your fingertips, hands drop, palms face each other, front foot comes back, steps out, shift, swinging that elephant's trunk, left palm down, fingers by right elbow. Shift all the weight to the right, turn to the left, spread your wings, replace your foot. Once more. Single whip, square to the wall. Shift, turn the waist, pivot on the right ball, hug the big tree, hug a smaller tree, feel out to your fingertips, drop the hands, palms face each other, ball of air, front foot comes back, steps back out, shift, swing the elephant's trunk, left palm down, fingers by right elbow, put all the weight in the right leg, turn to the left, separate your hands, replace the right foot on the ball, no weight. Great. So you see our plan with the animal frolics. If you practice the animal frolics, you're teaching yourself how to do the form. So you can just do this one standing at the edge of the abyss. It's, as I said, one of my favorites. And as you do this, you're getting this feeling of how the hands switch. Now, we haven't done many of the what we call 100% postures so far. We did lift hands, and we've practiced play guitar on its own. And this is about the first one that's really appearing in the form. And so in most 70-30s, we talk about making sure you have width, space side to side, so that the heels are not in a line. If you do a 70-30 and your heels are in a line, you're going to feel like you're on a tightrope. And so you'll need more space. When you're 100%, like white crane here, where I want to place the other foot is so that if it comes back, it just clears my rear heel. So Beth quoted this in the last class, that your feet should be like an L, not a T. And so when I do shouldering, or lift hands, I come here, and my front foot should slide back so that it makes an L, not a T. And this is important both for stability and then really important for your knees. See, here I'm in a T, and see how that makes my front knee fall in. If I get to an L, then my front knee can go right along the toe. So that's really important. When you get to white crane here, from shouldering, I come into white crane. It's just the same. My front foot should be at a place where if I draw it back, it just passes the heel of the rear foot. So like an L, not a T. T, it would smash into the middle of my foot. I want it to come back and go right by the heel. So pay attention to that and see where you're placing your foot. And it's on the ball, not the toe. So this isn't ballet. We're not trying to be on point with our foot. It's on the ball, right? And so the ball is the part where the tripod is inside the solid part of your sole before the toes are there. So I want the 2 points of the tripod on that foot touching the ground, not the toes, and not just one of the 2 points with the foot rolled, but both of them touching. So white crane spreads wings. Let's do the form from the beginning up through white crane once more, and then you'll have another move. I'll talk through white crane. I'll let you just do the rest of it for fun. So go ahead. From shouldering, put all your weight into your right foot, turn to the left, spread your wings, left foot steps on the ball, no weight. Right hand is high, it protects your temple, the left hand is here by the side of your thigh. All the weight is in the right foot. And you're not leaning. I'm not leaned back or forward, upright. Great. Okay, so you all have learned a lot now. We're really cranking on the first section of the form here. So keep practicing. Ask us questions if you have them. And while you're doing this, really pay attention to what it feels like. Because that's the point to Tai Chi. It's not a bunch of external acrobatics, but actually changing the way you feel inside. And so these are tools for you to do that. So keep at it, and we'll see you all soon.